Welcome to the first of many Cosplay 101 videos Fighting Dreamers Productions will be doing. We get asked a lot of questions, from who should I cosplay as, to what fabric's good, to where you get your wigs, your contacts, all that good stuff. So we will do briefly today what character you should cosplay as. What would fit your body type, your sewing capability, height, so stay tuned.
So the way that I go about choosing a character is, first of all, I decide whether or not I like the character. I will usually cosplay the person that I like the most from the series that I'm cosplaying from. But I do take into consideration a couple other things, like, do I actually look like the character enough to pull them off? I look pretty young, so I don't usually cosplay the older women. I'll usually cosplay like teenage girls or younger boys because my facial structure and just my features is more, like younger male character or like 15, 16-year-old female.
And then I basically do the same, except I gravitate towards the male characters and done some female characters, but I usually have to choose a more tomboyish female, with the exception of a few, because my face is a little more androgynous looking, and of course my body shape isn't really, classically feminine. It's a lot more on the masculine. Yeah, so I like to choose characters I like as well. Sometimes I'll choose a character I'm not particularly fond of, but sometimes through cosplaying them I learn to sort of appreciate that character, like Yuiko. Usually it's a male character just based on, how I generally look. I have to work to look like I'm busty, so I usually will stay away from womanly characters. And I don't really have that much of a waist either, so there's really not much.
Yeah, you have to be really careful with the body shape, just because, if you have like a really womanly body with like lots of curves and stuff, then pulling off male characters is a lot harder to do.
Whereas the opposite, pulling off female characters, is a little more difficult.
If you're just like straight.
Yeah, because there's really nothing to accentuate.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things that you should consider when you're choosing your cosplay is the practical side of it. How you're gonna get the cosplay. So, basically you can either make it yourself, or you can get someone else to make it for you. And when you're choosing your character, this is something you should also consider. Can you make the cosplay yourself? Is it going to be simple? What are your sewing capabilities? So can you make the costume yourself? Are you willing to spend that much time on it? I find that even simple costumes can easily take 20 hours to make. Do you have that time before the con or wherever you're going to wear it to? And the cost of the fabric, cost of all the materials. So those are the kind of things that you should consider. If you don't want to make your costume, if you can't make it, then you can get someone else to make it for you. This could be a friend or a relative, or you can buy it off eBay. I don't have personal experience of that. But
I've bought about a few costumes. I think it's about 5 maybe a little bit less. I'm just going to overestimate. But this is from the Prince from Suikoden, that costume that I wore to SakuraCon a couple years ago, and you see the armlets, they're supposed to fit sort of like that. Of course, they're too big because I didn't make them myself, so I couldn't fit them. So, in actuality, they fit up here. So, you never know what kind of size you're going to get, if it's going to fit you. It usually won't because you aren't tailoring it to yourself. So, what I usually do once I get a costume, or what I do now, is I will sort of alter it so that it does fit my body shape. I don't really buy costumes much anymore because I think it's just easier to fit it yourself. But I mean, a costume fitting you is a big part of the overall look. It is sometimes cheaper to buy them. The only example I can say where it's the opposite would be a Kuja cosplay, which costs $300 online, and which costs me about $150 most. But then again, you're going to be spending a lot of time making it. So if you want a cheaper, faster, less work involved way to get a cosplay, then by all means buy it. But if you want to have this involvement and this sort of ability to sort of decide what the final outcome is going to be, then maybe you should try your hand at making it.
Alright. When I'm choosing a character, I keep a little phrase in mind that's known as know your limit, dress within it. You know, it's not to be negative, but some girls like me who got a little bit of extra loving around, you have to make sure that you don't pick an inappropriate character. Like Riku from 10-2, probably not the best choice. Neither is Yoko or Gunners, but we can do things to try to still make us look good. Like one is, I did Lulu. I was a little weird about it, but I have quite large breasts, so it worked to my advantage. Also, her dress, it's a corset, so it takes you at the waist, and her dress balloons back out for your hips, if you got childbirth ones like myself. Also, if you really want to do a male character, because I like males more, because my face is kind of evil looking, kind of accept that. Anything with long coats is good. It covers up any kind of curves that you have. Even if you just have large breasts, you might have a thin waist, you still got curves. Also, you want to avoid any costume that cuts you around your widest section. For me, it would be my hips. So no shirts that's very strong color. It's a no-no. Anything that's long, anything that ends below your pelvis is also very flattering.
Alright, so I'm going to briefly talk about group cosplays versus solo cosplays, and how it might affect your decision to cosplay a tall character or a short character. So what might happen, for example, with me, is since I am 6'8", I end up having a hard time trying to find characters I can cosplay. So, for example, my first cosplay was Pence from Kingdom Hearts, and Pence is a little boy, so, by myself it worked out pretty good. I could cosplay and, it was okay. But when I found other people cosplaying from Kingdom Hearts, that's when there was a small problem. What happened was I was towering over all of the other people who were almost, probably closer to, little kid height. So that's one thing you need to make sure to look at your character. If you're cosplaying by yourself, then you might be able to get away with a character that might not be it's the same height as you, but if you're cosplaying with a group, you'll have to work it out with your group members.
Why, you little... I didn't see you there. Right. So when I cosplay, there's two things I look for in my characters. First, will I enjoy that character? And the second, can I pull it off? Now, the first one's the most important, because for me, I do this for fun. So I tend to pick characters that I think I would have fun in the con or the photo shoot that I'm doing, which usually ends up being some bitter old warrior, because I like those characters. But that would be my first piece of advice. There is no point doing a character that no matter how cool he or she looks, if you won't feel home portraying him or her and doing the poses. I don't think that's worth it. I see a lot of people picking a character simply because he or she is really popular, but that isn't necessarily what I would go for, because this is a hobby you do for fun. The second one is whatever I can pull it off is an important one to me. Now, I'll never make a Sailor Moon, because it just will not work. And I obviously play quite a few characters that they have a physique that matches my own. It's no secret I like lifting weights. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't do a character that doesn't match you one-on-one for.
These were just the opinions of FDP. Remember that cosplay is only for fun. Do not get too swept up in what you look like. Please enjoy yourselves and stay tuned for new Cosplay 101 videos coming to a YouTube near you.